So I had a very untravelled Scottish childhood, never went anywhere much. And then through a whole series of accidents ended up here on the 26th of January 1984. My life changed completely. I've been in Delhi ever since, really. This is my home. But it was one of those big transformative moments in anyone's life when suddenly, everything before is a past chapter. Everything since is now reframed through Indian vision. I'm just finishing a book, and when I'm actually writing a book, which is the actual writing bit is only about 1 year in 4 or 1 year in 5, I'm completely stationary and don't go anywhere. And I'm in that period at the moment. Thank God coming out of it, because it's like doing the exam. It's not much fun. It's hard work. When I'm not actually writing a book, I travel a lot. I'm often on the road, either writing something or on holiday, but usually following some sort of story somewhere. As your life goes on, traveling changes. Each decade has its own experiences. Being a first-time backpacker, being young, free and single in your 20s, as a young married in your 30s, with children, it's a completely different thing again, traveling with little kids. In my stage of life now, mainly, researching books. History books, art history books, and so it's often aimed at the places I'm writing about. So I've just finished a book on the East India Company, so a lot of trips to Calcutta, to Bengal, to Plassey, to the site of Buxar, the battle, all the area around Delhi and all the little places where all the battles were fought around there, Tipu Sultan, Srirangapatnam, all those sort of places. So I'm a historian, and a lot of my travel is tailored to history and history of art. Those are the things that draw me, and the things I aim to see and get most pleasure out of. To be honest, I don't really enjoy solo travelling. If I possibly can have a good friend or my wife or my children, I'd much prefer that, because half the fun of travelling is sharing it with someone. If I do go solo travelling, it's normally an assignment. I'm off looking at something for work, and it's a work trip. But I would always, if it's for pleasure, I would always take my wife or my family, definitely. And in the old days, I was the same. Before I got married, I used to always try and travel with friends. My summer holidays are normally very relaxing holidays with the family. I'm in India for about 9 months a year, and we have a separate life in Scotland during the 3 other months. And during that time that we're in Europe, we often go to Tuscany and stay in some old house somewhere with a lovely view and eat lots of pizza and drink too much. And they're very relaxing. The more energetic holidays are when I'm on the road researching for a book or for an article. And those are the ones when I'm actively following up all these leads and interviewing people and climbing up to the top of mountains to look down. But I think travelling, varies a lot depending on what you're doing. If the sort of travelling I did for the book 9 Lives, which was talking to representatives of different religious groups in India, like the Bauls or the Tayam dancers of Kerala or the Bapuji Ki Fad Bopas in Rajasthan. That was very much sitting in one place, interviewing people until you got the story. Other books like in Xanadu, My Journey Following Marco Polo, or From the Holy Mountain, this book about the Christians in the Middle East, hard backpacking travel across the Middle East with a backpack on a low budget. And then again, City of Jinns, which was just involved staying in Delhi and mapping the city and finding the stories. So different. It varies very much depending on what you're trying to do. I suppose the slowest travel I ever did was actually researching City of Jinns, when I just sat in Delhi free and went out every afternoon. Olivia would sketch. We were just married, young marrieds, and she would sketch, and I would interview people or take photographs or go to visit ruins. And City of Jinns was accumulated very slowly, just month after month, week after week, putting together stories in notebooks and filing little card indexes, little anecdotes from all the different people in the book. My previous book in Xanadu had been this big journey following Marco Polo, 16,000 miles from Jerusalem, right across the Middle East, through Syria and Iran and Pakistan, right across the Gobi Desert to Mongolia. And after that, I did this sort of stationary book, City of Gins, about Delhi, which involved just staying in one place. So I suppose that's the slowest. It was going nowhere for a year. I love Delhi. Delhi's been my home by choice for 30 years. For all the pollution, for all the irritations, for all the difficulties, it's still the most wonderful city. Culturally, in terms of its past, in terms of its beauty, its weather for 6 months a year is gorgeous. I love Cochin. I think Cochin is the most beautiful place. I love all that water. It's like a tropical Venice. It's just gorgeous. Hyderabad I love, but it always makes me feel sad because so much is gone. So much was destroyed between 1947 and when I first saw it in 1988. And you keep reading about the past and seeing pictures of buildings which no longer are there and worlds which have disappeared. Calcutta I didn't used to like. And now have rather fallen in love with belatedly. A lot of my family lived there over the years. I had one of my ancestors in the Black Hole in 1756. As recently as my great-grandfather was born there. I came, I suppose, to Calcutta through rural Bengal. I fell in love with the Baul sphere out in Shantiniketan and so on, and then came back to Calcutta and got the hang of it, and chaotic place, but I do love it. Lucknow I love. Again, the history, the extraordinary ruins. Used to feel very run down, now feels rather a boom town, but places like the Chowk are still incredibly gorgeous. But my favourite places in India are probably not the cities, they're places like Hampi and Mandu out in the country. They're crucial. I don't think you can understand a place without knowing the heritage and the architecture and the culture. Not just the built heritage, not just the buildings, the monuments, the tombs, the temples, the mosques, but also the literature. Can you understand Bengal without reading Tagore? Can you understand, or without reading the Baul, hearing the Baul sing? That's why India is such a rich place to revisit, because the more you read, and there's such rich seams of literature in this country, the more you read, the more you understand, the more you see. And that's true, I think, for someone who's born here as much as anyone else. One of the things I've learned is that as a foreigner, you come here imagining India is one country. And of course it's a million countries, and people from Bengal will know all about the Bauls, but they won't know about Teyam in Kerala, they won't know about Papuji Ki Fad in Rajasthan. India's still a very regional country, and it's so vast that these regions have their own literatures, their own languages, their own styles of architecture, their own styles of food and painting and music. I think it takes several lives to get to know this place properly. While you're in Jaipur, though, you should always, allow some time to see. It's an extraordinary town, Jaipur. A lot of the crafts and traditions which have disappeared in many other places in India have stayed on. Jaipur is a very conservative part of the country, and I think that things survive there which have disappeared elsewhere. People come to Jaipur because we have the best lineup of writers of any literature festival in the world. This year we have stars like Colson Whitehead, whose Underground Railroad won the Pulitzer last year. Irvin Welsh, the author of Trainspotting. Jan Martel, who wrote Life of Pi. Germaine Greer, who wrote The Female Eunuch. Extraordinary historians like Richard Evans, the professor of history at Cambridge, and Simon Sebag Montefiore. Extraordinary long-form journalist masters like Steve Coll of The New Yorker. And then we have, that's just my bit of the list. My co-director Namita has an extraordinary list of all the Bhasha and non-English writing. We have a lot of Rajasthani writing, a lot of Hindi, some Bengali, some Marathi. I think we had about 40 languages last year represented in some form or other. So it's a very multilingual festival. And you can find what you're looking for, and quite a lot what you didn't even know existed just by going there. We have become the world's largest literature festival with 500,000 people turning up last year because we have the best writers. It's that simple. It's also somewhere lovely, people love being in Jaipur, it's easy to get to, it's good communication, it's a lovely time of year to go out. But I think ultimately it's about the writers, and this year's the best list ever. So just register, turn up, you don't have to pay anything, it's completely free. It's like joining a super university with half the faculty of Oxbridge, of Harvard, of Yale, of Nobel Prize winners, Booker Prize winners, Pulitzer Prize winners, all there for free. There's nothing else like it in the world. So register and come.